And what if time isn't a straight line, but a spiral that folds over you as if trying to remind you of something forgotten? Imagine time not passing, but curving, as if you were in a circle always returning to the same lessons, but differently. You age, but your soul might be reborn. What if what you call the end is actually the beginning of a deeper version of yourself? Have you ever felt like time was running faster than it should? As if the days slipped through your fingers, like water, and all you could do was watch. Maybe you looked in the mirror and thought, when did I stop recognizing who's there? Or perhaps you felt the silence around you grow denser, more present, as if life were trying to tell you something, but in a language you don't yet understand. This feeling that time is running out, that something important might be left behind, is more common than you think. You are not alone. Many people feel this tightness in their chest, this silent fear of not living as they should, of not being who they could be, of it being too late to start being truly happy. But what if the problem isn't time? What if it's how we relate to it? Today I want to invite you to pause. Not an escape, but a reunion. Let's walk together through some gentle truths that touch the soul and calm the mind. We won't fight against time. We'll listen to it. We'll embrace what it came to teach us. Maybe the peace you seek isn't in the future that hasn't arrived, nor in the past that has gone. Maybe it's now, here, in this moment, as you listen and breathe. In this video, we'll explore together 5 profound truths that can transform how you see time, aging, changes, fears, and most importantly, yourself. If something within you feels tired, anxious, or afraid of being left behind, stay with me. This isn't the end. It could be the beginning of a new kind of peace. You don't need to run anymore. Time is your ally, not your enemy. Time isn't a tyrant. It's a patient teacher disguised as a calendar. Have you noticed that the sky never rushes the sunset, or that the moon doesn't force its own phase? Anxiety is a modern symptom of a body that has forgotten its natural rhythm. If time is a river, will you keep trying to swim against the current, or will you learn to float? We live as if we're running late, as if there's an invisible finish line, and if we don't run fast enough, we'll miss something essential. From an early age, we're told, don't waste time. Chase your dreams. You're falling behind. And without realizing it, we become prisoners of the clock. We try to fill every minute, every space, as if stopping meant failing. But what if time isn't the relentless enemy we've been taught to fear? What if it's a gentle master, patient, present, trying to show us that life isn't about running, but about living? Buddha said that suffering arises from attachment, and one of the most painful attachments is to when I have time, when I'm ready, when everything is right. But time never comes as we expect. It only comes as it is, now, always now. You don't need to run. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to fulfill any urgent mission. Nature doesn't rush. The river doesn't run out of anxiety. It simply flows. The tree doesn't hurry to grow. It just opens to the sun and waits. And you can also stop. You can also breathe. You can allow yourself the gentleness of living with presence, without hurry. There's a Zen story about a master and his disciple. The young man, anxious, asks, "Master, how long will it take me to reach enlightenment?" The master replies, 10 years. Why, and if I try my hardest, then 20 years. But if I really dedicate myself with all I have, then maybe 30. The disciple, confused, asks, "Why does it take longer the harder I try?" And the master responds, "Because when you only look at the destination, you don't see the path. And without seeing the path, you get lost." That's it. You're not here to run to some idealized point in the future. You're here to walk with awareness. Time isn't against you, it's with you. It's the space where life happens, and if you're present, you're already where you need to be. Breathe deeply. You've arrived. The now is your place. The mirror doesn't show who you are. It only reflects what time cannot touch. The mirror lies, but your energetic memory tells the truth. Scientists call it the morphogenetic field, a kind of invisible memory the universe holds. In other words, your essence vibrates, even if the reflection doesn't show it. You are the sum of the hands you've held, the advice you've given, the tears you've dried, and none of that appears in the mirror. If the mirror can't reveal your truth, is it time to learn to see yourself with the eyes of consciousness? There are days when the mirror seems cruel. It returns a face that no longer seems to be yours, lines that weren't there before, eyes that carry stories, marks that time has written on the skin with its silent calligraphy. You look at yourself and wonder, where did that version of me go that I recognized? But the truth is that the mirror has never been able to show who you are. It only knows how to reflect the exterior, but your essence, that's in a place no reflection can reach. What the mirror doesn't show is the wisdom that grows with each fall. It's the strength you built on days when you almost gave up. It's the patience born when nothing made sense. The mirror doesn't show the tenderness with which you care for those you love, nor the courage to get out of bed on days clouded from within. It doesn't show the laughter you provoke or the peace you spread just by being present. Buddha said that everything we see is impermanent, but there's something in you that doesn't age, your ability to love, to embrace, to transform. That inner light, that presence without form, that's your true beauty. There is an ancient story about a woman who sought the wisest monk in the village. She cried because she felt she had aged and had no more value. The monk took her to the garden, pointed to a bloomed rose, and said, "Do you think this flower is less beautiful because it has already opened?" She replied, "No, it's perfect." And the monk said, "So it is with you. Your beauty is in blooming, not in looking like a bud. You don't need to hide your marks. They aren't flaws. They are proof that you've lived. Your beauty isn't in what time takes away, but in what it leaves, in the depth of your gaze, in the sound of your voice when you comfort someone, in how you've weathered storms and still chosen the light." So, the next time you look in the mirror, don't search for who you were. Be grateful for who you've become. And if the reflection seems strange, close your eyes and see yourself from within, because inside, my friend, you remain radiant. Yes, some people will go away, but the love you gave never leaves. Quantum physics suggests that nothing truly disappears. It only changes state. Just as energy isn't lost, the love you've given continues to exist, vibrating in other forms. Longing is how love continues to move through time. Love is like the light of a star. Even after it dies, its light still travels. Whoever told you that you lost someone didn't understand the nature of love. Over the years, we realized that life has its own rhythm of goodbyes, sometimes subtle, sometimes devastating, friends who drift away, family who depart. Relationships that once seemed eternal now live only in memory. It's inevitable to feel this void, as if each person took a piece of you with them. But what Buddhist wisdom teaches us is that nothing given with love is truly lost. Everything you offered from the heart, the affection, the care, the presence, that doesn't disappear. It transforms. The love you gave doesn't break with absence. It spreads. It blooms in other gestures, in other lives, in other forms. There's a story that when a Zen master was asked about the pain of losing someone, he simply pointed to the night sky and said, "Do you see that shooting star? It's already gone, but its light still shines." So it is with the people we love. They may no longer be by our side. They may no longer write to us, call us, or pass by our door. But they continue to live where love lives, within us, and more. What you offered them, the smile, the hug, the forgiveness, the listening, passes on. It echoes, it inspires, it touches others like a candle that lights another and another and another. You can't keep everyone by your side, but you can trust that the best of each relationship remains. Think of someone you loved deeply who is no longer here. Close your eyes for a moment. Can you hear their voice, feel their gesture, the way they laughed, cared, and taught? That is love in its purest form, independent of time, independent of distance, independent of death. The pain of absence is real, but it doesn't need to suffocate the gratitude for everything that was lived. Each bond that ends still leaves a legacy, proof that you are capable of love. And as long as you continue to love, even with longing, even in silence, those who have departed will remain present. Love never dies. It changes form, but it continues to sustain life, and you are part of this invisible and eternal chain. So yes, some people will go away, but the love you gave never leaves. You don't need to look young anymore, because now you are wise. In some indigenous traditions, only those with white hair can make the most important decisions. They understand that youth brings speed, but wisdom brings direction. Have you noticed how older people speak less, but say more? Perhaps the modern world is sick with youth and urgently needs wisdom with wrinkles. And what if your beauty now is that which doesn't seek to be seen, but felt? There comes a day when the mirror returns a face you don't immediately recognize. The skin bears maps of past expressions. The eyes carry deep stories, and the hair, now silver or thinning, whispers of time. And the first reaction might be one of strangeness, even sadness. Because we've been taught that youth is synonymous with value, beauty, and presence. We live in a culture that hides wrinkles as if they were scars of failure, that values the glow of skin, but not the light of experience. But what if we told you that you no longer need to look young because you already are what many are still seeking, wisdom? The lines on your face aren't marks of time. They are proof that you've lived, laughed, cried, tried, erred, and started over. Each wrinkle carries the signature of a unique moment, a memory engraved not just in the mind, but in the body. In Zen, there is a reverence for the elderly, not for the youth lost, but for the clarity gained. Beauty, when it matures, trades applause for serenity. It trades the urgency of aesthetics for the depth of the soul. There's an ancient story of a woman who, looking in the mirror, said, "I'm no longer as beautiful as before." And a master replied, "No, you are beautiful as never before." Your beauty doesn't compete with youth. It dances with time. When young, we seek approval. With time, we seek meaning. And that changes everything. The charm of a young face is visible, but the charm of someone wise is felt. Have you noticed how some older people have a glow in their eyes? It's as if they know things others haven't even begun to suspect. They listen more, judge less, have patience with life's cycles because they've lived through many of them. And that's the beauty the world urgently needs. A beauty that embraces instead of competing, that inspires instead of seducing, that transmits peace instead of agitation. So, the next time you look in the mirror, don't search for what was. See what is. See the light that now emanates from within. See the silent wisdom your face carries with such dignity. You no longer need to look young because now you are wisdom embodied, and no filter in the world can surpass that. You will lose more people you love, but love never dies. In the Japanese tradition, broken objects are restored with gold because the scar is part of the history. This is called kintsugi, and the same goes for the heart. Each loss is a fissure, but also a space where light enters. Who you love remains in you, in the gestures you repeat, in the care you've learned. If you feel longing, it's because love is still present, and perhaps it never left. Over the years, one of the harshest truths begins to reveal itself. You will see people go, some slowly, like leaves falling in autumn, others suddenly like a storm that arrives without warning, And there's no way to prepare. Even knowing that everything is impermanent, even knowing Buddha's words about detachment, when someone we love departs, it's as if the ground opens and swallows us in an impossible silence. The pain of loss is universal, but each pain is unique because each bond is a world. Losing a father, a mother, a partner, a friend, it's as if time stops for a few seconds and says, now you will need to learn to continue without. But here's something time also reveals. Love doesn't die with the body. The true bond isn't buried. It remains, invisible, but intensely present. In Buddhist philosophy, there's the story of Kisa Gotami, a mother who lost her son and, in desperation, sought the Buddha. She wanted a remedy to bring him back. The Buddha asked her to find a mustard seed in a house where no one had ever lost someone. She searched in every house, and in every one there was grief. That's when she understood. Death isn't a punishment, it's a part of life. But love, love, that remains. It remains in the way you smile, remembering a gesture, in the phrase that comes out of nowhere, in the music that echoes in the heart, in the scent that suddenly appears and brings unexplained tears. Each person we love and lose continues within us, in how we treat others, in the care we have for those who remain, in the silence we've learned to respect. It's true, you will lose more people you love, but it's not true that they disappear. Love transforms into a subtle presence, into a guide, into an embrace of longing. And even in absence, there's a kind of companionship that only time teaches us to perceive. You are not alone. You never were. Every time you love someone new, you continue what began before. Each act of kindness, each word of support, is an extension of the love that once shaped you. And so, love continues. Because it never dies. It changes form, but never its essence. Aging isn't the end, it's a new beginning. The Tibetan monks train the mind to die a little every day, not out of morbidity, but to remember what it means to live. Dying a little each day is letting go. It's remembering that nothing is guaranteed except the now. You're not getting old, you're becoming true. Youth shouts, wisdom whispers, and now perhaps it's time to listen. We've reached the end of this journey, but perhaps this isn't an end. Perhaps it's just the turning of a page, because aging, contrary to what many think, isn't the fading of the flame. It's the moment when it burns with more calm, more consciousness, more intention. Society has taught us to fear time, to hide the signs of passing years, as if youth were the only form of beauty, as if wrinkles were flaws and not stories. But today, perhaps you can see differently. Each line on your face is a paragraph lived. Each gray hair, a lesson learned. Each loss, a space to love more deeply. And each day that dawns is an invitation to start anew, with more wisdom, with more compassion, with less hurry. Buddha reminds us life is impermanent, yes, but this isn't a reason for sadness. It's a call to presence, to live with an open heart, even when it carries scars. You are not less for having aged. You are more sensitive, more strong, more whole. The question now is, what will you do with the time that remains? Will you spend energy fighting what you can't change? Or will you choose to walk lightly, accepting what is and making the present your best moment? You already know the answer because something within you now is in silence and at peace. At what moment in your life did you feel like you were running against time? What was the biggest change time brought you, and how did you embrace it? If time could give you advice, what do you think it would be? What was the greatest lesson time taught you? Share in the comments. Let's form a constellation of wisdoms here. If this video touched you, share it with someone who needs to breathe. Because sometimes, all we need is a reminder that time is on our side. Let's grow together, age together, awaken together. And if you want more content like this, subscribe to the channel. Here, every video is a hug. To dive deeper, access our exclusive ebook on living in the present. The link is in the first pinned comment. And don't stop here. Choose one of the videos on the screen to continue your journey of self-discovery. A reminder that we're all on the same path, and that wisdom always comes with time. Namaste.